Just fantasy baseball back here with another episode. Your host, Colby Olson, always joined by Clay Snowden, the lovely Clay Snowden. Today, we're going to run through pitchers. Pitchers. We're calling this the mega pitcher episode because it feels like we've been talking about a lot of hitters recently. Yeah, we bring up the pitching streamers every Sunday, obviously, and sometimes we bring them up in the waiver portion of this. But this episode is not about, guys that we're thinking about picking up. This is about guys that are owned in a lot of leagues and really just going around the league and talking about some studs, some guys that are becoming studs, some guys that were studs and are showing signs of maybe some concern, just to give you a little idea of who we will be talking about. I'm not going to name all the names, right? You got to listen to get all the names, but just some guys we're going to touch on, right? We're going to touch on Sandy. We're going to talk about Julio Urias, Nady Eovaldi, and Hunter Brown at the end of this episode. So there's 4 other names that I really didn't mention there, but that gives you a little idea of who we're going to talk about. So yeah, I'm excited to talk pitching, Clay. You excited?
Yeah. How about a Clay? How are you doing today? I'm doing well, Colby. Thank you so much for asking.
Well, I didn't really think I needed to ask how you were doing because you, sir, are about to talk about pitching on Just Fantasy Baseball. So it would seem like that would be pretty good thing to do.
That's a very good point.
I don't really care about the rest of your day. I just want to talk fantasy.
Who do you want to start with?
I want to talk about Chris Sale.
Oh gosh, here we go. Chris Sale.
I want to talk about Chris Sale because he's completely changed my mind. Like if you asked me 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I would have told you that Chris Sale was doing fine, but he looked like a pitcher that would pitch well against bad teams and get roughed up by good teams, because the stuff did not look like it was there. Like his fastball was sitting, 92 and a half, 93 and a half, which I know that he's not going to be able to get by. Well, like he'll be able to get by against bad teams with that, but good teams will prey all over that. The sliders were not getting whiffs at that point. But his last 3 starts, Clay, 20 in the third, 5 earned runs against, 24 strikeouts, and just 2 walks, 1 home run against. And that's a 2.21 ERA, a 2.17 FIP. The most encouraging thing, though, is yes, those numbers are good, but it's the way that he's doing it. He's averaging over that span 95 miles an hour on his fastball. And his last pitch, so his last outing, he went 8 innings, 9 strikeouts, 1 earned run against the Cardinals, who beat up on lefties, right? And the last pitch of his outing was over 97 miles an hour.
Yeah. He's found a little bit of that velo coming back. The overall numbers, 5.4 ERA, 3.74 FIP. It's kind of been a disaster overall, the ERA is because of 3 outings. There were 3 outings of 5 or more runs. I believe 2 of those came against Baltimore too. But then he has 3 outings of 1 run ball. The strikeouts have kind of come and go at times, but overall, he's looking like he may have turned a corner a bit. I don't own him in any leagues, and I'm probably not going to own him in any leagues at this point, just because he's kind of on that fringe. Like, you would have to trade something decent for him if he's already in your league, because other people are seeing this.
Yeah, I'm kicking myself a little bit because he did pop up on my waivers in 1 or 2 of my leagues, and I didn't pick him up, and I really should have. Just to take a flyer on a guy like this, because I think what the reason behind this is, first month of the season, he knows he can coast at 93, 94 miles an hour. And then just see when he starts to feel really good. Like, okay, I can show everybody that I can still hang at 95, 96. So encouraging going forward. If you are a Chris Sale owner, if you're not a Chris Sale owner, I did get asked, like, what do you do with Alek Manoah right now? This is not a guy I really want to talk about right now, but like, I did say to someone, try to trade for Chris Sale. I don't know. Like,
yeah,
anybody.
I would trade Manoah if I had him. That's all anybody that I'll say.
Like, he's going to end up on your waiver wire if you don't trade him. So just try to get somebody for him. But yeah, just wanted to touch on Chris Sale because the velo being back is very, very encouraging to me, but we don't need to spend too much time.
Next on the list, let's go Mitch Keller, because I want to get out there. And I said it on this show preseason. Like, I kind of made fun of the whole, like, yeah, we've seen Mitch Keller throw 193 miles an hour in some pitching
At Trent
lab every
Athletics.
offseason, right? And I was not exactly buying in yet on the late season numbers that he had last season, mostly because we have seen this same story with Mitch Keller over and over. I'm bought in now. Like, I am all in on Mitch Keller. I think the Pirates are going to extend him. I think that they should extend him. 2.38 ERA on the year, 2.64 FIP, sub 3. I think it was Jack on the Just Baseball show mentioned this. Sub 3 ERA over the past 32 starts. He has a career low in walks per 9, not giving up hard contact, only 86 miles per hour off the bat, and a 30% whiff on the fastball with great movement across the board on his pitches. Is Mitch Keller finally what we thought he could be?
Yeah, I mean, no, he's not what we thought he could be because I never thought he could be this.
Is Mitch Keller finally what a lot of people thought he could be?
Did a lot of people even think he could be this? Like, legitimately. I mean, I'm saying, like, Mitch Keller, I thought, yes, like, if you told me he could hold down a 3.3 ERA last year, like, I would have been like, okay, maybe he has the upside for that. But I did not expect him to legitimately look like an ace, right?
Yeah.
2.38 ERA, 2.89 expected ERA, 2.64 FIP. His slider stuff plus is second in baseball behind Graham Ashcraft right now, Clay.
Wow. Graham Ashcraft, good pitcher.
He doesn't throw it that much. He's only throwing that sweeper slider 13% of the time. That is another thing about Keller, though, is that he's throwing a true 5-pitch mix now. 4-seam, cutter, sinker, sweeper, curveball. There's a lot of different looks that he's giving you, and he can get whiffs with all of them. So, I mean, I think I need to maybe see a few more outings before we start calling him like a real ace, but he's been an ace, man.
32 starts.
What was the stat again?
It was sub 3 ERA over the past 32 starts.
So, yeah, I mean, maybe it is fair to start calling him an ace. It really might be.
You know what? Let's call him an ace. The Pirates deserve to have somebody called an ace on their team. It's been a long time.
5-pitch mix has me sold. It really does. I mean, that's a big stepping stone when guys just don't know what's coming at them. And he's averaging 95.5 on the fastball. Like, fastball velo is there. So yeah, Clay, I'm bought in. A guy that I'm a bit concerned about and that is starting to, I don't know if I want to say lose the ace tag, but Julio Urias does not look right. And Julio Urias is a pitcher that the margin for error is slim with him because he doesn't throw very hard. He's a pitcher that expected metrics outside of expected ERA have never liked. Last year, he had a 2.16 ERA, a 3.71 FIP, though. But he did have a 2.81 expected ERA, and that was on the back of a 30.2% hard hit rate, which was one of the lowest in baseball, right? So he gets a ton of soft contact. The fastball plays up because it has a ton of carry on it. But this year, he's been giving up a lot of home runs. If you go to his last 6 outings, Clay, 4.72 ERA, a 5.46 FIP. He's given up 2 home runs in 4 of those 6 outings, getting beat. And he's not striking guys out at a high rate, which he never really has. But it's been after a strong start to the season, it's been very disappointing.
Yeah, it has been. And he's been on my team just about every year, and he's on my team this year. So I've been watching him closely, and I just keep telling myself, this is a guy with 4 or 5 straight seasons of really, really good baseball under his belt. So, we can talk about the expected stats, but I expect him to get back towards that more than I expect him to just crater and become, somebody who he has not been in the past. Now, he has added a cutter this year, and I think, is he going to start using that more? Now, he's only used it 9% of the time, not a ton, but 32% whiff, 148 batting average against it. Maybe that's something that he can work in throughout the year and just help see something new. The fastball is just getting hit this year.
Uh-huh.
273 batting average against compared to 195 last year. He has 2 starts of giving up 5 runs or 6 runs. And the other 7 of those starts have been 2 or less runs. So to me, it's not that I'm super worried about it. I think those in those starts, the 5 and 6 run starts were back to back as well. I'm not sure what happened there, but I'm not like pressing the panic button yet. I'm not going to sell or anything like that, especially sell what would be low on his value over the past couple of years. So I'm not too concerned, but it is worth noting that, as you mentioned, there are some signs that are a little troubling, especially with a guy who's not going to strike out a ton.
Totally. The fastball, Stuff Plus has that fastball at just a 90 right now. So it actually below average Stuff Plus on the fastball. But the other pitches are encouraging. I agree, man. Like the changeup right now is allowing a ton of hits, a 310 average, but just a 307 xWOB on the changeup. I really like that the addition of this cutter too, because it did feel like he needed something in that in between his fastball and his slurve, which is at 80 miles an hour. So now that cutter can kind of gel with the changeup and it improves the changeup as well. So yeah, I think going forward, like obviously Julio Urias is a hold if you have him. And I would just say he's a hold, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Next, Mackenzie Gore, one of the multiple returns for Juan Soto, now in Washington. He has a 3.29 ERA, a 3.62 FIP, 11 Ks per 9. The big issue here, 4.61 walks per 9.
Yep.
Okay. So let's dive in here. Because I have a lot of questions, Colby. And those of you out there, Colby is a pitching guru, and I often go to him for pitching analysis. And I've gotten better and better, but Colby knows a lot more than me. Colby, he has 4 quality starts, and it seems to me that's just a pitch count thing. The starts I've watched, when you're walking that many batters, you're going to get pulled early from starts.
Mm-hmm.
Even good starts where he hasn't allowed a run and, has given up 5 hits or something, he's out in the 4th inning. Things of that nature. He only has 1 start allowing 3 or more runs. I think we're starting to see a little bit more of the stuff that when he was a prospect and he was coming up and he was really highly regarded. I think we're starting to see more of that than the absolute roller coaster that happened the past couple of years before he got kind of solidified and then moved to Washington.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you bring up the walks, and I think the walks will always be a problem for him. Getting behind in counts is always been a problem for him. It is amazing to watch someone succeed when they throw 60% or more fastballs, right? He throws his 4-seam fastball 62% of the time, but it's gotten good results in both seasons now. Last year got good results. It's gotten good results this year. He commands it well up in the zone. And both of his secondaries get a ton of whiffs, which leads to a lot of strikeouts. His curveball is a 41% whiff rate. The slider, a 35% whiff rate. I like what I've seen from Gore. I have him in a couple leagues. And I think he's going to continue to find the feel for pitching, right? This was a guy that last year threw not even 100 innings in the season before that, through 20 innings. So he hasn't had that many innings under his belt. And now just 41 innings into this season, 8 starts. I think he's still just finding that release point and where he can locate his pitches. This is also a guy that had a good changeup in the minor leagues. He has flashed a good changeup before. He's only throwing it 1.7% of the time this year. So that might be a pitch to look out for as well, if he starts flashing that. But I like everything I've seen, and the numbers do back it up. So Gore might actually be one of the only guys on this list that is available, I would imagine. What do you think he's available right now? Like 60%?
He's not available in my 10 man. I think it's tough to say. I think it's
55% owned right now.
Yeah, it's very league dependent. But man, with the amount of starting pitching injuries, though, I would not be surprised if he's owned in your league, even if he's only owned in 50%.
Yep, agreed. All right, Clay, let's talk about Sandy because Sandy has been weird this year. Bizarre to say the least. 4.91 ERA, a 4.33 expected ERA. All things you would not expect from a guy who had an amazing season last year, an amazing season before that, an amazing season before that. It's felt unlucky though, and that's the reason I wanted to bring him up, is that it feels like he's been like BABIP'd, I like to call, out of a lot of these games. Like he's giving up weak contact that goes for hits. Still getting a good amount of ground balls. He's had 9 strikeouts in back-to-back games. So to me, if you can buy low on Sandy right now, knowing that, the numbers underneath, okay, like one of the outings was a 9-run outing against Phillies. And then in his most recent outing, he gave up 6 runs to the Reds, but only 1 home run. Like it just kind of felt lucky.
Yeah. What would you say his best pitch is?
His best pitch is his changeup.
Yeah.
But exactly. It has not performed.
Exactly. Batters are hitting 313 off the changeup after hitting 145 last year, but they're still whiffing above 35%.
There's no way that's going to stay.
That's exactly right. His best pitch is getting hit right now, and that's just not something that I see to be sustainable. He's definitely a candidate for a buy. If anyone in your league is interested, you may be able to swap him out pretty easily. Hell, I would throw Erod right for Sandy straight up and see if I can get any takers.
Oh my God. That's not a bad idea. Yeah, I mean, I would even start throwing Julio Urias out there for Sandy, like guys like that, But yeah, it's worthy to put out a call on Sandy because I would be shocked if he does not return a ton of value down the stretch here. Like everything underneath looks to be maybe not the same, but very similar to last year. And he did get lucky at times last year, and maybe this is just the baseball gods getting their little revenge, but I would be shocked if he doesn't turn things around. Clay, we do have something exciting to tell the listeners of Just Fantasy Baseball. This episode is provided by So Rare. So Rare is a revolutionary fantasy baseball game and marketplace that transforms you guys, the listeners, into owners and basically allows you to own cards that you can use in free-to-play fantasy baseball games. I've been playing, Clay, and I've been having a blast with the free-to-play version. I'm starting to get the feel for it, and I'm going to start going on the marketplace to buy cards, but I just kind of wanted to run you through my team this week because I've had a heck of a start to this week. So by now, I've collected some pretty good cards. So I have Strider in at pitcher. I have Tyler Rogers in my relief pitcher slot. But I have Devers in corner infield, Judge in the outfield, and Nolan Gorman as my utility hitter, and then Kirby as my utility pitcher. Last night was crazy for me. Gorman went off with the Cardinals scoring 18 runs. Kirby had such a good start against the Red Sox. Judge hit a home run. Devers was driving in a ton of driving in run. Crazy. So I'm very excited to see where this week takes me. Right now, I'm in 247th place out of 26,000 people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And if you all have not played, just go to the link and download the game. It's free to play, and you can select your team.
Yeah, so we do actually have something beyond that, Clay, to announce. So Just Baseball is going to be hosting our own league. So go draft your team, or if you've already drafted your team, continue to build up your roster because starting May 29th, we will be doing a Just Baseball league, so you can play against us as well. So yeah, the link will be in the description of this episode. So make sure you go either download So Rare on your iOS or Android, or you can also look at it on desktop. But yeah, go draft your team. It's a ton of fun. It's free to play, but you can also buy cards as well. So we're having a ton of fun playing it. So yeah, So Rare.
George Kirby, one of my favorite pitchers to watch. He's kind of becoming that. 2.45 ERA, 2.57 FIP, 4 total walks in 51 innings. That's a 0.70 walks per 9. 7.19 K per nine, pretty low, not fantastic, but the home run to fly ball rate has dropped from 9% last year in his rookie year to 4% this year, and he allowed 4 runs in his very first start this season. Since then, 3 runs in one start, 2 or less, and then in the 6 other starts. He has been absolutely fantastic for a team that started off pretty cold, and I think will turn it around, and a team that I believe in. And I think I don't know if you could buy him right now because I don't know who would be selling him. But if you own him, I think he's going to continue this. I think he's going to rack up more W's down the stretch as well. The only question I have for you, Colby, is about the strikeouts. Do you see, because we know he has stuff to do it. Like, I think he has good pitches to strike more out. I don't think he's going to be a 12K per nine type, but could you see the 7.19K per nine tick up?
Yeah, and I think it has been trending up. But it's also not who Kirby is, and it's what allows him to go deep into games. Over his last 4 starts, he went 8 innings, then 7 innings twice, then 6 2/3 last night against the Red Sox. Strikeouts are great, but they do get you deep into counts. So Kirby is a guy that's going to throw a ton of strikes, get a lot of weak contact. But he does have, he had 7 strikeouts against Philly. He had 9 strikeouts against Texas. He had 6 strikeouts last night against Boston. What was so impressive to me, I watched that game. I watched Kirby just shove against my Red Sox, and it's pretty amazing to watch him pitch. He's a very fun pitcher to watch pitch because he does not walk batters and he attacks guys, which is fun. But he throws all of his pitches to each hand, right? Like you don't often find guys that can get lefties to whiff on sliders, and Kirby was getting lefties to whiff on sliders last night. But he throws 4 pitches. Fastball up in the zone is pretty unhittable. I mean, yeah, how could you not love Kirby? And if he's going this deep into games, is he kind of becoming a Sandy-like guy?
Yeah. I like that comp. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying he's Sandy, but it's definitely similar. Like the pitch mix is also very similar. He doesn't throw a changeup, but he does throw 4 pitches, right? He throws 4 seam, sinker, curveball, slider. So it is a 4-pitch mix, and yeah, I really like Kirby. Have liked him since he came up, but a lot of strikes. And what's his whip right now, Clay?
I actually do not have that in front of me.
All right. He has a 1.01 whip, and I would expect that to go down. Like, he doesn't walk anybody. It's crazy. He doesn't give up home runs either. So, yeah, who else do we need to talk about?
Former Red Sox, current Texas Ranger. Take it away.
Mr. Eovaldi. Mr. Eovaldi has been shoving, and I love to see it. He's a 2.7 ERA, 2.83 expected ERA. He is doing what he has done for the last 4 or 5 years, except he's not in Fenway anymore, which is very much helping him because he got destroyed in Fenway Park. He's not giving up home runs this year, which is why, Clay, he might be a little bit of a sell high because he's given up just 1 home run all year, and he gave up 21 home runs last year, 15 the year before that. He's always had a knack for home runs. Like over his career before this year, since 2016, his home run per fly ball rate averaged 14.9%. It's at 2.4 this year. So I would expect that more home runs are here to come. This is also a guy that seems to always deal with an injury.
Yeah.
So my recommendation honestly would be to sell high here.
Last 3 outings, he went 9 innings of 3-hit shutout ball, 8 innings of 5-hit shutout ball, and 8.2 of 3-hit shutout ball. One stat, so to go off a little bit and also self-plug here, I just put out a Jonah Heim article this morning at Just Baseball, not only about his offense, but his defense and how good he has been working with pitchers. Nathan Eovaldi has a 0 ERA in something like, I think it was 26 innings with Jonah Heim catching for him. And this is a team, Jonah Heim in the Texas Rangers last year stole 122 strikes out of the zone, led the MLB, 9% more than the second best team in that category. This is a player who's, he might just get a little bit better with working with Jonah Heim, and hopefully they continue to use Heim with him when he pitches, because it seems to be working. But a 52% ground ball rate, something I love to see. 9.45 Ks per nine is, pretty good number there. I do agree with you. The past 3 outings have really helped the overall stats, but 4% barrel rate, like, I kind of like what I'm seeing. I'm not like going to go target him and trade for him, give up anything for him, but I don't know if I'm selling yet. I may hold.
The only thing is that he's also had somewhat of an easy schedule so far. He's faced Philly, he's faced the Royals twice, he's faced Cincinnati, he's faced Oakland, and then Yankees, Angels, Cubs is strong. But still,
no Red slander, please.
Yes, absolutely red slander. And you just always expect him to get hurt. Maybe float Nady Eovaldi for Sandy. How about that? Would you do that?
Which one do I own in the league?
You have Nady Eovaldi and you're getting Sandy.
I would.
That's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah, no-brainer.
These are the type of offers. Start floating. Can't hurt.
Last guy on the list today, Hunter Brown, Houston Astros pitcher. And to be honest with you, I think I've only watched one of his starts this year. So I was going to ask you about this guy. He came up last year and showed some flashes out of the bullpen, and top 100 prospect at justbaseball.com, and 3.43 ERA, 3.49 FIP, 9.5 Ks per nine, 3.5 walks per nine, about there. 3 starts with no earned runs and 3 starts with 4 or more earned runs. He's kind of been a little all over the place in terms of production, but like I said, I've only watched one start. He's a pitcher that I'm very intrigued by, and I'm wondering, like, man, should I be targeting this guy? How much can I give up for him? And I wanted to bring the question to you.
Okay, so yeah, you want me to answer if this is a guy you should be targeting? I don't think so. One, because I think the name brand is going to carry more value than what he's actually putting up on the field right now. Secondly, he doesn't get enough whiffs with his secondaries. His slider gets a 25% whiff rate. His curveball gets a 27.7% whiff rate. And surprisingly, his fastball has been getting beat up. An average exit velocity of 92.8 miles an hour and xWOB of 407. So that's why you see those blow up outings. If he doesn't have the feel for his pitches, he can't really, he can't get away with it if he's not getting, he can't get away with it. His hard hit rate against is in the top 10 in baseball. And I believe it's highest over the last month. It's the highest in baseball. So I'm glad you brought up Hunter Brown. He does get a lot of ground balls, but still everything's getting hit really hard. And that does worry me some. So I wouldn't say this is a guy that I'm necessarily targeting, especially when you see he does have a 3.43 ERA, but a 4.13 expected ERA. That's for a reason. Like, he's giving up a lot of hard contact, and he gave up a lot of hard contact last year as well.
I like it.
Does that worry you? Like,
yeah, I mean, like I said, I kind of wanted to just listen to you talk about him because the few times I've checked a box score, it's like, oh, wow, that's pretty good. Then other times it's like, gonna stay away. And, I was just kind of curious about him, but I think that we just ran through a pretty good list of pitchers right there.
Yeah, we definitely did. We definitely did, Clay. I mean, and some of these ground ball guys can get away with it. Like, Framber Valdez is somebody who does get away with it because he gets a ton of ground balls, but he gives up a ton of hard contact. So maybe Hunter Brown is more in that world because he does get a lot of ground balls, but it is a bit concerning that he doesn't get whiffs on at least one of those pitches at like a 35 or 40% clip. Yeah. Do you want me to name the top 10 in hard hit rate against right now?
Yes. Yes.
It's very interesting. At the top, you have Michael Kopech. He's the only one over 50%. He's at 51.3%. Behind him, you have Dylan Cease. Shocking. And that's why he's been getting beat up this year is guys are hitting him hard. Shane Bieber's behind him. Bryce Elder at 4, Framber Valdez at 5, Dean Kramer at 6. If that doesn't really shock me, but he's been getting good results somehow. Yusei Kikuchi, then Alex Cobb, Kevin Gausman, Luis Castillo, and Hunter Brown. So there are some good names on there.
Cobb's been playing well, yeah.
But you notice
Luis
that
Castillo.
What do Cobb, Gausman, Castillo, Hunter Brown, and Framber Valdez all have in common?
Ground ball.
All heavy ground ball pitchers. So they don't care that they give up hard contact because it's usually on the ground. Logan Webb is at 17, for example, right? You know who's scarily at 13 though, Clay? And we were talking about, we're going to close the episode with this, with some Reds talk, is Hunter Green is at 13.
Not surprised.
44.5% hard hit rate against. But he actually has the highest average launch angle on this list behind Michael Kopech.
Okay, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Hunter Green as an add in here. Hunter Green has been struggling to locate his pitches at times, and there's outings that are great, and then there's outings like Monday night at Coors Field, asterisk Coors Field. We know what that means, but it's not even the Coors effect. It's the you miss your location drastically and give up a home run effect, and that's the issue I've had with him. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a great pitcher. I'm not worried about him. But the issue and what's frustrating is when he misses his mark and it's going 100 miles an hour and it ends up over the plate. Players in the majors can hit that pretty easily. Not pretty easily. That's drastic. But you know what I mean. Good players can destroy that.
I don't think pretty easily is that far away from what it is, Clay. I mean, his ex-WOBA on his four-seam fastball is over 400. For a guy that is averaging almost 99 miles an hour on his four-seam fastball, that should not be. He's always had a suboptimal four-seam fastball shape, but he should be able to find ways to get around that. So it is frustrating to see somebody like Hunter Green last night in Coors, for example, 4 innings, 6 earned runs, but he also had 8 strikeouts and only 1 walk.
Yeah.
But that's just mistakes. 2 home runs
Clinton
against.
Doyle took him deep to dead center. It was awesome. But yeah,
at the same time, he started the year so strong. His first 6 starts, he had 2.89 ERA, a 2.31 FIP. So, I mean, yeah, a few bad outings here has really, really hurt him. But also,
I kind of just think that is what he is.
He's like, a cherry bomb a little bit. Yeah.
And I don't think that's like, a lot of people will overreact. Like, I think that's okay. Because he's going to have outings that are really incredible, and he's going to have some blow-up outings on occasion when he just is off. And when he's off, it's going to travel far. When, other pitchers are off, and it may just be you get hit around a little bit, but not a ton of runs. Like, when he's not pitching well, it's not going to be good in the box score.
No, it is not. It is not. So, yeah, that'll do it. Just fantasy baseball, huh?
That's it.
Sweet, man. Catch you next time. Thanks for listening, everybody. Adios.